live thing?
Yeah.
You should be good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ready? Ready?
Yes.
Vanessa, we're good on your end?
Yes. Okay.
All right, we will call this November 17th, 2020 meeting of Lawrence County Commissioners to order. Would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence.
May I ask if during the moment of silence, we just lost a very well-respected woman out in Bessemer, Helen Anderson, served on Borough Council for many years out there. We keep her family in our thoughts. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. We have a quorum. I will note that this meeting is being live streamed, being sent out to YouTube right now for public consumption. We're also being recorded internally for our purposes in compiling the minutes. And to that end, if anyone here has business before the board and wishes to speak before the board, we'd ask you come up to the table there and use the microphone to make sure that gets picked up and incorporated in the minutes. Row officer reports and comments. I'm looking out in the audience today. I'm not seeing any row officers or any representatives of row officers. Public comments. Is there anyone, member of the public today that wishes to make any comments before the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to fiscal and contractual. We have no advertising for bids or proposals, no receipt of bids, proposals, no fiscal reports, no report on quotes. We do have 5 warrant registers. Okay, but I'll give my colleagues a minute to look, probably a couple minutes to look those over, and then take a motion to accept and file the warrant registers or warrant registry. I'll note that on these there are some more PPE disbursements of our CARES Act allocation.
Like we've also paid the various polling places that we utilize throughout the county. Looks as though they each get $75 for the use of their facilities.
So I will make the motion to accept the warrant registers.
You're faster than me today,
Yes.
Loretta.
The one I think was a lot of our foster families
Yes.
as well.
I'm almost there. I will second Loretta's motion.
All right, we have a motion to second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, we have approval of the Tuesday, November 10th, 2020 meeting minutes. And again, I'll give my colleagues a minute to look those over before taking a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll move for adoption of the minutes.
And I will second.
Hearing a motion is second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign, motion carries. We have no written communications today, we have no proclamations, certificates. Is there any member of staff out in the audience today who wishes to report something above and beyond which is already on the agenda? Seeing none, move on to commissioner reports and comments. Looks like I'm on deck first today. I have nothing. Commissioner Spielvogel, you're on deck next.
I just as a, reminder, I know you all have probably been getting questions whether are we going to have a shutdown or are things going to be more, stricter regulations and things. We haven't heard anything specific, and that's a good thing. And I think the governor is leaving it to individual counties to act as they see fit. Some of the larger counties have done some different things, but I just say let's do everything that we can, especially with the holiday coming up. Everybody has differences of opinions, but let's just continue to do what we can to help to stop the spread, and then we don't have to worry about whether we're going to have a shutdown or a lower capacity for indoor dining and things like that. So please, wear the masks, hand sanitizer, wash your hands, stay away from crowds as much as you can. We need to pay attention to those things to just help it. And I think that just needed to be said to reiterate it, that let's do the basic things that we can. It worked in the spring, and let's see that hopefully it can work in the fall as well.
I'll note with that, some of the larger counties have health departments.
Yes.
Where those health departments are able to come down and implement certain regulations and certain restrictions on commerce and on movement within their counties. Lawrence County does not have a health department. I think I've ever even looked into creating one just because the issues in Lawrence County before this, public health issues weren't broad-based enough to warrant the creation of a health department. And the other thing, we have resource restrictions, of course, that prevent us from putting something like that in place. But we're largely reliant on the state Department of Health to come down and implement any restrictions, any restrictions on commerce, restrictions on movement, restrictions on school districts. We don't have, the three of us, the authority to implement any shutdown orders or anything like what we saw in the spring. That is entirely under the purview of the state government. So I just wanted to note that for the record as well. Commissioner Vogler, you're on deck.
No, you're both absolutely right. In fact, the vast majority of counties in Pennsylvania do not have health departments, just the larger ones, as you noted. And Commissioner Spielvogel made a very valid point about avoidance of crowds, and perfect example, and I'm sure you're going to note this, but next week, the commissioners normally would have gone to Dauphin County for our fall conference, state conference of the County Commissioners Association. Well, that's been, the in-person meetings have been canceled, and it's all going to be virtual. So consequently, next week, this board will not be meeting here on Tuesday because we will be at our respective computers doing yet another Zoom meeting, which I know you really enjoy. So we're avoiding crowds as best we can. It is frustrating. Again, normal circumstance. I sit on the board at the City Rescue Mission, and we normally would be meeting in person tonight. Well, that's going to be virtual as well. So we're seeing a lot of that. But, no, I certainly concur with the points that you've both made. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have new business. First up, we have Commissioner's Resolution for discussion and possible approval to enter into an agreement with Sowers Building Incorporated for the sidewalk project for the courtyard project. Commissioner Spielvogel, you've kind of taken point on that. Do you want to explain what we have before us? It's certainly a scaled down project compared to what had been bid in the past with doing the front part of the courtyard. As everybody has known, the cement barriers are down, the trees are gone. We're down to just the leveled topsoil that is there. And we've also scaled down the
actual construction of different areas, to just getting a basic sidewalk in there to get us through the winter months and into the spring. And then in the spring, doing a little wee bit more. So this is pretty much like the second phase of doing that. We had one bid that went out that was the deconstruction of the front of the courthouse, of the courtyard. That was the only bid that had been approved previously. That being said, and that work was finished, then the next step would be to get some basic sidewalk structures in so that people could get in and out and social distance as they're walking through the different entrances. So this is what this bid would be for. We put the bids out, and we, I see by the resolution that we're awarding that bid now to the contractor to move forward with it. And one thing that I didn't realize, and a lot of new things I'm finding out, is that I didn't think that they would be able to do cement work in the wintertime, but they can, and it does get done. So this will be done, hopefully, before the end of the year, or maybe in a short amount of time. So I'm pleased that we'll actually be able to move forward with it. Yeah, on to the next step.
Two questions for you. Number one, to your knowledge, and again, I'm asking you because you're the commission sort of taking point on the project, is everything going to be ADA accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. Our engineers, we had Taylor Engineering, they set the bids up. They as far as the width of the sidewalks, the different areas to get in. And again, something else that I learned, if you're coming up through Court Street, the one side of the parking lot where on the opposite side of the courthouse, where the little dip is in the sidewalk, I know I'm not using the proper terminology, but that had to actually match on the other side for wheelchair accessibility to cross that crosswalk. So again, something, I said, can we just move this or do that? And Bill Humphrey was there. He said, well, no. And I think Levi Fiesel was there as well with him. It has to match on the opposite side. We can maybe, curve a little wee bit here to make the entrance coming into the courthouse itself a little bit wider, so that different truck sizes could get in and get through in that area. But we couldn't move those two dips on either side because that made it the wheelchair handicap accessible. Yes, but it is in compliance with everything ADA.
And the second question is, how is this being funded?
This is coming through, and we go through this several different times. P Corp and PCOM offer safety grants because of our membership with them, with those organizations, that being able to do these programs, we get awarded monies. So we apply for the grants and get awarded monies. And I'm not sure which years they are for. I'm sure Joe Vanasco could help us out with that if need be. But there's money there to actually pay for it. So it's not even coming out of, we had hoped that if we had to, we could use CARES monies, because it would be part of social distancing, having people be able to get in and out of the courthouse a bit differently. But because of those grants, the safety grants that we get awarded through those organizations, it's not a cost to the county either. So that makes it good. That makes it even better. Yes.
Commissioner Vogler, any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple, thank you. Appreciate all your work.
Absolutely.
Once we're done, I'm thinking sometime next year, just a couple minor odds and ends. I'm wondering if we should have a discussion with the city regarding Court Street and that crosswalk to see if they would be willing to paint a crosswalk, since it is their street. We don't own Court Street. We'd have to ask if they would be willing to paint the stripes to designate that crosswalk, and maybe even look at the appropriate signage. They come up around that end.
I caught that coming across here. Signage was next.
Yeah, so that's something down the road we can talk about. Secondly, again, further down the road,
yes,
would be, and I do want to thank you. You were instrumental in getting a nice new, pretty large size flag on that flagpole out there. It looks great. They've always been smaller flags, and the one you got really stands out. One thing we're lacking on our courthouse campus, unless I'm mistaken, so correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we have a flag anywhere for the Commonwealth, the Pennsylvania state flag. Might be something down the road
sure.
we can think about.
Absolutely.
And then finally, further down the road, and we've talked about this, but I think after we get through the important sidewalk
Right.
renovations, we do need to upgrade the monument.
Yes,
And we were just talking about this before the meeting started, the monument noting, that monument out there notes the 2 Medal of Honor recipients from the Civil War, and we were just talking about Sergeant Sabo, who who died in the Vietnam War, and he is a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient as well. And we need to update our monument at some
Absolutely
point. So,
correct.
but again, first things first.
Yes.
So,
and I agree with you with that in the spring, getting together, just the brainstorming the different ideas of what to put where and what we need to have and who we need to honor in those places is vitally important that we do that. We have the monument taken care of and the additions that need to, and our flag, our Commonwealth flag. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And I'll note that the contracted amount for the sidewalk project is $58,958.45. Again, that's paid for out of funding that we get through our insurance program. So $1 of that's taken out of taxpayer funding. But we'll make that resolution 2020-
340.
All right, next up, we have a budget amendment proposed where we'd be taking from our COVID-19 CARES contingency fund $428,856 and basically transferring that into our general fund contingency using different salary figures which are allowed under the CARES Act to make that amendment and make that transfer.
Yes.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
no objections.
No.
Make that resolution 2020-341.
Okay.
Up next, we have 2 resolutions from our planning department. Becky will take one, I'll take one. But Becky's one is from a bid we opened last week as well, relating to Quaker Falls. Becky, what do we have going on?
Well, we have, I believe we had 6 bids that came in, and we reviewed them along with the engineer, virtually. And we basically decided that we were gonna go with low bidder, it's a responsible bidder. So we're not doing the contract yet today. We're waiting on all the bonds and all this insurance and stuff to get here, but we felt maybe we should go ahead with the resolution and get that at least on the books. This again is the DCNR project. It is part 2 of our grant that we're doing, so.
And just to clarify, this is also funded through, just to restate that one more time, this is funded entirely through grant.
Exactly, DCNR C2P2 grant, so, probably gonna go forward in another grant to do some of the stuff that we, the money wasn't there. So there probably will be a second round, hopefully, to get stuff that make it look really nice.
Right.
So this is just groundwork, tree work, trail work, signage. We have to do that PennDOT entryway off of State Route, which is a good chunk. So all permits are in place, ready to roll. So,
Good. Excellent work, as always.
yeah,
Excellent, yes.
yeah, so,
And just to restate, this has been reviewed by the solicitor.
yes, I talked to Jason, I said, are we okay? And he's like, yeah, I sent it the email and he looked at it and he says, we're gonna defer to our engineers again,
Sure, again,
you know?
right.
So, yeah, like I said, no contracts are signed yet, and he's looking at everything, just to be sure.
Very good.
So,
Questions, comments, concerns?
Thanks for all your work.
Absolutely.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll make that resolution 2020-342.
You got the next,
I got it.
You got the next one.
all right. Thank you.
This next is what I assume will be our last allotment of CARES Act dollars unless more monies come in, relating to our PPE program. While that program right now is offline, it looks like there was one submission that we might have missed last week from Friends Bar and Grill for $2,000, where they would have submitted receipts for different PPE that they have purchased in relation to COVID-19 pandemic. Anything from cleaning supplies, plexiglass barriers, if they have their building professionally cleaned. But it looks like we're looking to award them $2,000 from our COVID award, which again, as Dan mentions, I think every time it's come up, that these are federal dollars that were passed through to the state, which were passed through to us. So again, not county tax dollars. I don't think we spent a dime of county tax money today, which might be a first.
Okay.
But any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
And make that resolution 2020-343. I'm fine with the expo money, the expo marker.
I can't help it.
Mine's gone from the corner too. I'm
Oh,
not,
here we go. Thanks, Vanessa.
That's okay.
It's happened to me before. There we go.
All right, up next, it looks like we have a resolution from our tax claim office. Tish, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. Good.
What do we have going on here?
This is just for the bid for our title searches for next year, actually, 2021.
Okay, and what do they do? We obviously do title searches, but how does that relate to the
They do
organization?
title searches for the judicial sale
Okay,
so that we notify all the lien holders, mortgages, anybody has a judgment against a property that's going up for tax sale in
Okay.
spring.
any questions, comments, concerns?
Just, we opened the bids last week. and
Right.
I believe there were 2 of them.
Yes.
Have a proposal
This is-
for us.
The lower
Yes.
bid.
Yes.
All right, we'll make that resolution 2020-344. It's actually so much better than that.
Whether it be now or when we vote, can you note for the record who the bidder is?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Tish. You're welcome to stick around for the
Okay.
vote if you want, or if you have other business to attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tish.
And next up, we just have a sizable number of transfers, most of them coming from MHDS. First up, and the COVID transfer, it's a 2-part transfer, so we have to make this transfer from COVID contingency to COVID county expenses, and then the budget amendment, which transfers the fund. So this is an internal fund transfer here, there's 418.
Okay.
We'll pass this, and then we'll pass the budget amendment, which allows us to transfer from in
Where it
between
needs to
funds.
go.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Next up, we have the controller's department, where he's transferring $4,400 from from the controller's contingency to minor equipment, and $1,500 from maintenance and repairs to materials and supplies. And the rationale for this is they're purchasing 2020 tax forms to make sure that's all handled. They're purchasing some more checks, and then the office minor transfer is for laptops, getting that office ready for remote work in the event that something comes down from the state that would require us to transition to a different way of doing operations. And again, just to stress, we have not heard anything
No.
indicating that that is going to happen. Any questions?
No, sir.
Next up, from the guys over at the mental health department. They are, I'll let Joe explain this one, just because he's gonna be able to do it a hell of a lot better than I will be.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Basically, there's a number of transfers, and what basically happens is we're planning at the beginning of the year our entire budget, where the money will go. In a year such as this with COVID, it kind of changed the goals and the outlook. Some of the community participation items and things of that nature, we were unable to go out in the community with the clients and so forth. So, or the consumers. And basically, we transfer those monies at no loss to the agencies. The agencies were still servicing the clients. It was just in a different line item, so to speak. We saw decreases in residential placements. We saw a lot of your community service going out into the community. Those numbers were far lower than what was originally anticipated when the budget was formed in June of 2019.
Any questions for the county admin?
No questions.
No.
Thanks, Joe. Do we have a department here?
Judge Cartwright,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I wondered the same thing.
I was trying to get the,
Yeah, they omitted
Yeah.
that part.
They're transferring from their contingency account, $245.04 to equipment lease to cover the cost of their Pitney Bowes supply agreement. Any questions, comments?
No.
Next, we have the sheriff. He's transferring over some money to cover a Staples order, in the amount of $2,000 from his materials and supplies to his Staples, which are effectively the same thing. In fact,
Right.
in the 2021 budget that we're going to be going over soon, the proposal that I put together is actually just merging those two line items just to allow for more flexibility. But any questions, comments, concerns?
no.
Nicholson's office, shortage of funds in their equipment maintenance, so they're taking $50 out of travel and training, moving it to equipment maintenance. Questions, comments?
No.
And I'll take a motion first to approve these transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, questions on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Transfers made. This next item, which is currently on the table, which is resolution 2020-334, we're basically amending our employee policy related to COVID-19, where performance requirements are waived from the period of March 23 through June 30th, 2020, and for any employee that uses sick days under the Federal Family First Coronavirus Response Act, those sick days will not count against employee perfect attendance, since they're in direct relation to employee either contracting, having a relative contract, or they're taking care of their kid. Well, that kid might be in a remote learning setting. But the above policy change will only apply through December 31, 2020. Rationale for that is Family First Act expires at the end of the year. At that point, it'll be up to the feds to either extend it or pass a new act or do nothing. But our solicitor has reviewed this at this point. He's good with passing it. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, what we'll do is I'll take a motion to take this off the table, and then I'll take a motion to allow for voting on resolutions 2020-334 and 2020-340 through 2020-344. Sound good?
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll take a motion in that case to remove resolution 2020-334 from the table.
So moved.
Second. Hearing a motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2020-334 is off the table. Now I'll take a motion to amend the agenda to allow for voting on resolutions 2020-334 and 2020-340 through 2020-344.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. First on deck, resolution 2020-334, now be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that Lawrence County employee policy related to COVID-19 is amended to include the following: performance requirements are waived from the period of March 23rd, 2020 through June 30th, 2020, and for any employee that uses sick days under the Federal Family First Coronavirus Response Act, such sick days will not count against employee perfect attendance, and the above policy change will only apply through December 31, 2020. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-340, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that Sowers Building Incorporated, 253 Steiner Bridge Road, Valencia, PA 16059 is authorized to complete the sidewalk project for the courtyard project as specified in the attached construction agreement. Contract amount $58,958.45. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Hearing a motion is second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-341, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners to amend the 2020 Lawrence County budget as follows: increasing transfer from COVID-19 relief fund general revenue account by $428,856, and increasing the contingency fund general expense account by $428,856. Reason being, we're transferring over CARES dollars to cover eligible salaries in our general fund budget. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-342, now be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that one, North Beaver Contracting LLC of 4321 Edenburg Road, Newcastle, PA, is awarded the bid for the completion of Quaker Falls Recreation Area Construction Project funded under the DCNR C2P2 program. A total of $181,196 will be allocated under the grants and programs line item to complete the project that the chairman is authorized to execute all documents related to this contract. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Hearing a motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-343, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, the attached list of small businesses and nonprofits have been allocated CARES Act funding for the purchase of approved PPE pending receipt of their small business or nonprofit certification form by October 27th, 2020. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Hearing a motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-344, now be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, that authorization is given to execute an agreement with Brian Levine of Levine Law LLC to do title work for 2021 judicial sale. Title searches, payment for approximate services rendered pursuant to this agreement as follows: real estate examinations at $125 and no cents each. Mobile home examinations at $35 and no cents each. Levine Law LLC shall provide proof of errors and omissions insurance and complete the project in a timely manner. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Hearing a motion is second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have no ordinance on the table, no ordinances for introduction, no ordinances for final action. Next regular scheduled commissioners meeting will be 10 a.m., not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, as Commissioner Vogler mentioned earlier on in the meeting. We will be participating virtually in CCAP's fall conference, and as a result, there will not be any business conducted officially next week. There will be a retirement board meeting immediately following today's meeting, and when I say immediately, I mean within a half hour, 45 minutes at the conclusion of this meeting. There will be a prison board meeting, I love those, tomorrow, Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 at noon. And there will also be a planning meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 at noon. That's via Zoom. If you wish to attend that, please reach out to Director McKinney. I'm sure she'd be able to get you the link to attend. Am I missing anything?
Yeah.
Dan?
Through no fault of yours. The courthouse is closed on November 26th and 27th.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yep, although I'll probably still be here with the Bob Evans turkey. I'm not joking, unfortunately. Any additional public comments? Seeing none, any additional comments from my colleagues?
I'm just curious, you're back in the spring, you used to check your phone. You're not doing that any longer for people to text you or.
If I get an email before the meeting, I'll bring it down. I actually don't have my phone on me right now.
Back then, no one
We
was
didn't
out
have-
there.
right.
It was all that.
Correct.
That was the only option.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, if anyone wants to submit, if anybody doesn't want to come in and
Right,
wants
to
to
submit
submit public
something, yes.
comment, and wants to email it in, and I get it before I come down here,
Yes.
we'll incorporate it. But otherwise, if somebody submitted something during a meeting, for example, and I don't have it on me, it would have to wait until next meeting to be incorporated.
I guess I should note, we've been doing this, if Debbie Walker is watching us from the Newcastle News, she's welcome to my packet.
Right.
We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign, motion carries. Lawrence County Board of Commissioners is adjourned.
Okay, very
I
good.
didn't see Sarah Wilson out there. Is she coming today or is she?
Yeah, Warren said,
Okay.
yes, she'll be
I
here.
talked to her yesterday.
Yes.
All right. No, I did that on purpose, that's what you.
There you go.
Gotta keep everybody on their toes, Joe.
Got to do that, without a doubt, yeah. Got to do that.
You want me to let the treasurer and the controller know?